Snow fell slowly, quietly, as if winter itself was trying to hide the scars of war. On the northern sector of the Eastern Front, the winter of 1942 became one of the coldest in living memory. Temperatures dropped to -38 degrees, snow reached up to a man's hips, and in that frozen wasteland an invisible war was taking place. The silent battle of snipers. This is the story of a man who spent 29 days alone behind Soviet lines. A man his comrades said disappears like an animal and returns like death. This is the legend they would later call the Winter Wolf. Obergefreiter Johann Reisner, a sniper of the 227th Infantry Division, grew up the son of a hunter. He saw the world differently through a rifle scope. "In the frozen wilderness," he once wrote, "sound is the only thing alive." One morning in December 1942, he was summoned to the company command post. Two men from reconnaissance were waiting. The captain told him, "Reisner, we have a problem. A large Soviet mortar unit has taken shelter in a village across the river. They destroy our positions every day. We need their exact location, and if possible, fewer of them." Johann simply nodded. He understood the mission, the risk, and the truth. He might not return. He left at night, under a pale, dying moon. The snow swallowed his footsteps as he moved as silently as the animals he learned to track as a child. He carried only what he needed: his scoped rifle, a knife, 40 rounds, 3 days of rations, a canteen, a camouflage poncho, rope, and a small diary. Crossing the frozen river was the deadliest part. The ice groaned under his weight. Sound carried far across the open flats. He lay flat and crawled inch by inch, every movement slow and deliberate. Halfway across, he heard voices. Soviet soldiers gathered around a small fire on the other bank. He became completely still, a part of the snow itself. After 20 minutes, they left. 40 minutes later, he was deep within the opposite forest. On the third day, he found a ridge overlooking the Soviet-held village. The wind cut his face, but he remained motionless for hours. Through his scope, he saw them, the mortar crews that had been hammering German lines for weeks, young, exhausted, cold. They didn't look like enemies, just men trapped in the same merciless machine. But orders were orders. His first shot was quiet and precise. A man fell, the snow barely stirred. His second shot dropped another. The third sent the rest scrambling for cover. Confusion erupted below, but the wind masked its position perfectly. He felt what every sniper eventually feels. Death was part of his duty, but it always left a mark inside. The Soviets quickly realized someone was hunting them. They sent a search party into the forest, 6 men, moving slow and methodically. Johann did what his father had taught him. He became part of the forest. He covered himself in snow, pressed his rifle to his chest, and slowed his breathing until his heartbeat felt like part of the landscape. One soldier stopped less than 2 meters away. "Someone was here," he whispered. Another answered, "A wolf. Look at the tracks." A wolf. They moved on. Only after the last footstep faded did Johann finally breathe again. Death had never been closer. After a week, his rations were gone. Hunger gnawed at him. He melted snow with a tiny candle, chewed on bark, ate frozen berries, and once caught a small bullfinch with his bare hands. Hunger became a far worse enemy than bullets. In his diary he wrote, "The body wants food, the mind wants silence, the soul wants an end." Yet he continued. On the 12th day, he found a ruined house with a perfect vantage point over the village. Every morning, he watched Soviet soldiers bring ammunition. He counted men, weapons, routes, and officers. Sometimes he wrote, "The enemy freezes too. The enemy wants home too. But war asks none of us what we want." He sent coordinates through his radio. Targets identified, able to eliminate officers. The reply was brief, "Engage, stay alive." He obeyed. On the 18th night, he heard a distinct metallic click, the unmistakable sound of a rifle bolt. Another sniper, a Soviet one. The hunt became a duel. Two shadows in the dark, two breaths, two minds trying to predict each other's next move. Shots whispered through the night, striking walls, snow, broken beams. Johann felt that every movement he made meant life or death. He reloaded slowly, exhaled, and fired. Silence followed, then a soft thud. At dawn, he found the body. The Soviet sniper was experienced, 14 kill marks on his rifle. Johann whispered, "You were good," and closed the man's eyes. After that duel, the Soviets increased patrols, but mortar attacks on German lines dwindled. Johann had completed most of his mission. He transmitted final coordinates, and 2 days later, German artillery obliterated the enemy positions. Now he had to return, the hardest part. On day 29, Johann could barely stand. He was starving, exhausted, his vision blurred, his fingers numb. But the river was ahead, his final obstacle. He stepped onto the ice. "Stop!" a Soviet patrol shouted. Johann dropped instantly, rolled to the side, fired one shot, and sprinted, though his legs barely obeyed him. Bullets shattered the ice around him. Frozen shards cut his face, but he reached the forest and German lines. Back at camp, no one recognized him. He looked like a ghost. The captain told him, "You did the impossible." Johann replied softly, "I did what had to be done." He collapsed onto a cot and slept for 26 hours straight. His final diary entry read, "I did not become a wolf by choice. Winter made me one." Johann Reisner survived the war. He returned to Germany, became a forest ranger, and died quietly in 1979. But those 29 days in the winter of 1942 turned him into a legend, a sniper the Soviets called a phantom, and his comrades called the Winter Wolf.